Alright, y'all, so we're back. Another video, back another reaction. Today we're going to react to This Man Was Lamelo Before Lamelo Ball. Now, I'm kind of skeptical who they have as Lamelo. Before Lamelo, that was pulling from half court. But let's see what it is.
He played with the high school kids when he was in 4th grade. Next year he'll be a couple of months removed from high school playing with the guys in the NBA.
6'7", an absolute magician with the basketball, a creative handler and passer. And boy, Mike, is he long. He's got a 6'11" wingspan. I think he's going to be an outstanding player.
Yo, what is up, guys? Nick Smith, NBA, back with another video. Today, we're
not here for that.
About Zion. But you let me know who I should do next on this series. It can be a rookie, a second-year player. It can be somebody who's not even drafted yet. Somebody interesting, comparing if we've actually seen somebody like them in the league before. I think it would make a good series. But anyway, here is Lamelo Ball. If you are new around here and you enjoy these types of videos, be sure to leave a like. If you are new, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to hit the notification button and follow me on Instagram because I will be seeing Lamelo Ball either this week. And with that said, hope you guys enjoy the video. Firstly, it's understandable if you haven't really been watching Lamelo Ball because he is playing on the other side of the world, unless you are from Australia. But to give you a very quick recap, he is averaging.
Y'all heard about Lamelo just leaving just because he left without warning?
6 assists, 5 rebounds,
He said, alright, I'm head out.
2 turnovers, shooting 66%
He said,
from
I'm
the free
not
throw
messing with
line.
y'all. I'm about to
He's
head out.
shooting 9% from 3, but he hasn't played many games this season, so that just means he started very, very poor, and that will hopefully pick up, because if he shot 9% from 3 for the whole year, that would be terrible, but he's going to eventually hit a few threes, so that will definitely rise. He's shooting 33% from field goal on 15 field goal attempts, and he's played 33 minutes per game. He's leading the league in steals, he's coming second in assists, and he is 4th in minutes played per game. He is also top 20 in points per game, averaging 13.5, and the league leader is 26 points per game. Keep in mind the season has only just started. There's only been 2 or 3 games actually played by these teams, but it does say that he has been working on his defensive game, and also you'd hope that he can improve on his offensive game as the season progresses. So at first glance, there's not really a whole lot of players that you can compare to Lamelo Ball. He's a 6'7" point guard, reasonably athletic, a pretty good shooter. He facilitates and passes extremely well. His rebounding is obviously better than most point guards because of his height at 6'7". But the one knock that you would have on Lamelo is probably his defensive game. But I do believe he's actually improved on that. Even just by watching the games in the NBL, I can already see a development on his defensive game. And he has been getting a lot of steals. And these aren't against point guards that are trash. These are against guys that almost made the NBA, have made the NBA, or are almost on an NBA roster. So I can definitely see some improvement on the defensive end too. One thing I've noticed is that he hasn't been at defense because the NBL defense is pretty solid, and he hasn't been able to get open looks, and he hasn't really been able to hit as many shots as he would like, especially from the 3-point range. He has been able to attack the hoop, finish around the ring. His floater game is very, very strong. So I just think that will develop over time as the season progresses. But I think there's a few players that we will look at in this video that you can compare. But I think we can all agree that Lamelo Ball is definitely a unique talent that we really haven't seen a whole lot of in the NBA. But the first player is Luka Doncic. And I know, a lot of people are probably questioning that choice. And I didn't make that choice. This was an article that I read from an NBA scout. But before you click off the video, I want to state I disagree with this statement. But I also want to give you all the facts, and there obviously will be other players that I believe Lamelo resembles a little bit more. But for the first case study, Luka Doncic. And this is by an NBA scout, so this is by somebody who actually knows a lot about NBA prospects and potential NBA draft prospects. And once again, it isn't my opinion. So, an ESPN NBA draft analyst by the name of Jonathan Givony, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, he said when he went to watch Lamelo Ball alongside 27 other NBA scouts, that when he watched him, Lamelo reminded him of the Rookie of the Year, Luka Doncic. And I quote, "He reminds me of Luka Doncic, just in terms of his size, his skill, and creativity." And I completely disagree.
They say Luka's an MVP.
I do believe that there is a little bit of similarities. I believe, yeah, of course, they're high.
Future MVP.
Okay,
so I don't
they're
know.
around 6'6", 6'7". but their size is completely different. Lamelo Ball is around approximately 165 to 170 pounds, which is about 75 to 80 kilograms, and Luka Doncic is around 99 kilograms, which is around 215 to 220 pounds, which is a big difference. Luka Doncic, you can tell, is a very solid player. His build is completely different to Lamelo, and I believe that actually creates a very different scenario in the way that you look at one player to another. So I don't believe this scout was correct, but I do believe that when you look at the way that they both facilitate the ball, the way they bring it up and their handles, yeah, okay, they're very similar. But then again, there are so many other point guards in the league that you can definitely compare if you just look at their height, handles, and their passing ability. And of course, the shot creativity, they're both quite alike. They can both finish around the rim, but I just don't really see the Luka Doncic LaMelo Ball comparison as some of the other scouts
Yeah,
in the
I
NBA
really
have
don't either,
compared him
to be honest.
So who, in my opinion, do I compare LaMelo Ball to? And you may completely disagree with me, and that is completely fine. But if you do, let me know who you would compare LaMelo Ball to. Or do you believe he is just a separate player in himself and there is nobody like LaMelo Ball? But to make it interesting, try and think of one player that is the closest to LaMelo Ball. Because I think it'll be pretty interesting to have a bit of a discussion
I honestly don't know.
down below. So I'm going to read you a draft profile, and I want you to picture who you think this player is. The strengths. He has a high-level passing ability, tremendous length and height for his position, combined with a high basketball IQ. He is a gifted athlete, and he has the ability to handle the ball well for his size. He possesses skill to burst through the first line of the defenders with a deceptive first step. He can turn a broken play into points with an outstanding ability to find the open man. Solid competitor, rebounds the ball very well for a player at his position. Defensively, his length allows him to create turnovers at a high rate, ignites the fast break, finding streaking teammates for easy dunks, trailing
That don't
shooters
sound
or
nothing like
finishes at the rim
LaMelo.
on his own.
That don't
That
sound
was
nothing like
Michael Carter
LaMelo.
Williams.
So
Now, what are the similarities between Michael Carter Williams and
Michael
LaMelo
Carter?
Ball? I
Yeah, he
believe
was a cheat
what we
code.
just read as a
If y'all
scouting
play
report.
2K14 on like PS3 and Xbox 360, this dude is a cheat code, bro.
You can definitely
One
replace
thing he
MCW
really couldn't do
and
is shoot.
LaMelo Ball, and
Other than
nobody
that,
would
he's doing
question
everything
it.
else.
They're both point guards, around 6'6", and around 185 to 175 pounds each.
I mean, shoot
LaMelo's
like
obviously going to build up some
like
size,
really
but
shoot like
this was
Curry and them.
MCW's draft profile at Syracuse. And before you really question it, think about when MCW first entered the league. He won.
It's good to be transparent. At H&R Block, you know the price before you begin. Makes things...
Yep.
One Rookie of the Year, and Michael Carter Williams entered the league averaging almost 17 points, 2 steals, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, shooting 70% from the free throw line, 40% from the field, and a shocking 26% from 3. That is the one thing that I really could say about LaMelo Ball. He is obviously a much better three-point shooter than Michael Carter Williams, but they're both tall, similar weight, passing ability. They both finish around the rim very solid, high IQ players, and their floater games are both very, very good. Well, when MCW actually entered the league. Obviously, since MCW's been in the NBA, he hasn't been able to get it together, and that can largely contribute to the fact that he definitely doesn't have a jump shot, which obviously in today's league, you need a jump shot. And even though 2013 wasn't that long ago, that is still 7 years ago to when LaMelo Ball will get drafted. 7 years is a long time, and the NBA has evolved a lot in 7 years. If LaMelo Ball was getting drafted 7 years ago, I do not believe he would have the jump shot that he has today. Just because of the time that we play in. Simply because everybody just has to be able to shoot the ball. Otherwise, you're going to struggle in the league. And that can easily be said about Michael Carter Williams. The other guy is also a very similar player. And that's Sean Livingston. Now, a lot of people don't remember Sean Livingston before the injury. So obviously, you're going to see a mix on the screen. You're going to see highlights of Livingston before his horrific knee injury. In terms of the height, both 6'7", they weigh similar.
Sean Livingston was never shooting like LaMelo.
LaMelo's about 170 pounds, but we'll see him develop
I don't care about height, weight, none of that. He was not LaMelo.
The one thing that I would say is that LaMelo Ball is definitely far more of an offensive talent than Sean Livingston ever was. But Sean Livingston's ability to run the floor, be very flashy with the ball, create for his teammates, get about 1 steal per game before his horrific injury, that's how I see LaMelo Ball. The one thing, again, just like Michael Carter Williams, Sean Livingston was never able to shoot, but he got drafted in 04-05, where players didn't really tend to shoot the 3 ball as much as they do today. One thing I will say though is that we see LaMelo Ball as decently athletic. Sean Livingston was definitely more athletic than LaMelo Ball, which is weird to think about Sean Livingston as a good dunker, but before his knee, this guy could throw it down, and he definitely attacked the hoop a little bit more than LaMelo, but both are still definitely very, very similar when attacking the hoop. So in my opinion, if Sean Livingston was entering the draft next season, I believe he would have a far better jump shot simply because of the time that he would have played in. I believe that everything else besides the jump shot is really similar to the way that Sean Livingston plays. The intangibles are both very, very similar, and they both finish around the hoop very, very well. Their floater games are very good, and the biggest point is obviously they're both very good at running the floor, facilitating for their teammates. Had Livingston not had that horrific injury, he may have also turned out to be an insane player. But I guess we're always just going to remember him as a guy that was a good role player and helped with 3 championships with the Warriors. So those are the 2 guys that I can see closer to LaMelo Ball in my opinion. Honestly, maybe you believe it is just his brother, Lonzo Ball. At the end of the day,
Lonzo.
Did you know that Verizon 4G is
I don't know
faster
about
than
Lonzo
T-Mobile's
for sure
5G? 4G
I mean, I
faster
think
than
Melo.
5G?
Lonzo is a very similar player to
I
LaMelo.
think Melo is better.
LaMelo's obviously
He's
a
the
little
best
bit
one out of
taller
all
at
3 of them.
6'7". They'll probably weigh around the same size
He's
when
the
LaMelo
best out of all
bumps up
3.
a little bit more and
LaMelo.
enters the league. Their facilitating ability and their court vision is definitely very, very similar. LaMelo's probably a better shooter, whereas Lonzo is definitely a better defender. So maybe it is Lonzo Ball as the guy that's closest to LaMelo, which is weird because it's his own brother, but then again, is it that weird because they are brothers? I don't know. I want you guys to let me know what you think down below in the comments.
Just gonna end off this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, new to the channel, subscribe, and see you on the next one.